Hello everyone, I am Hyde from the Seybold Locomotive Works, founder, owner, and operator, I guess. And I'm just going to be sharing the work that we're doing on this weekend. So let's get started with it. So, if you haven't been to my website, SeyboldLocomotiveWorks.weebly.com, then you wouldn't know that we do build auxiliary tenders for people. And auxiliary tenders you will find behind every mainline steam locomotive that is operational today. By mainline steam locomotive, I mean the Union Pacific 844, Santa Fe 3751, Southern Pacific 4449, Nickel Plate 765, and on. You get the point, but they all have auxiliary tenders. And it all started when I wanted to make my own for my privately owned Seybold Locomotive Works 280 number 3, which is a David Lee Circus rare roundhouse 280. It has a white boiler and red cab and red tender. And I had this Montua Union Pacific tender lying around that wasn't getting used, so took it to my bench grinder and removed the coal load entirely, as well as the coal bunker, so that it's all flat and level and looks like an auxiliary tender. And you know, from right from the start, people thought it looked cool, and people started asking me about them, if I'd sell them. And I started, and now shortly after that, I announced I'd start selling them and making them for people, just because of this one. So, you know, I'm just going to tell you the things that I do with them. Preferably, I try to get from a couple friends who have these tenders lying around that I buy them off. I try to get the 6-axle, or for instance, the 3-axle Montua tenders, because the 3-axle ones look a lot better than the Tyco Chattanooga ones, and really it looks better than anything else you could probably get. So I try to get these types of tenders as much as I can, because it just looks more real. But see, after you take it to the bench grinder and make sure it's all level and flat, you got a gaping hole where the coal load and the coal bunker used to be. So on 2 other engines, I built new oil bunkers for them, but I already had materials lying around. For my Southern 482 1491, the JS Minor for the SCVR, I had an old IHC tender that I never used, and so I just took the oil bunker off it, shortened it, and it fit perfectly into the old coal bunker for the tender, and it would look beautiful. It still looks beautiful. It's a nice oil tender now. And the reason I convert so many of my engines to oil burners, or make them have oil bunkers, is because I live in California. I love oil. Not that I really don't like coal, but I just love plus I'm running a tourist railroad, so, and all the West Coast tourist railroads and even some of the Midwest ones all use oil. And I just love the look of an oil bunker as compared to a stack of coal. You know, no offense, I just love the look of oil bunkers. Aside from the JS Minor, I also built this one for my IHC 462 Southern Pacific number 6789, and I can't even tell you what the material I used for it. I just saw these like plastic, kind of, not really strips, but plastic portions just sitting around up in my shelves back there. And so I'm looking at it and I compare the size, and I go, huh, that could actually fit. So take the tender to the bench grinder, remove the oil bunker, the coal load, and you have this gaping hole. And so I knew from the start I was going to be using these materials, but it just took a little while to find time to do it. So after I got around to it, I shortened the 2 portions into not equal lengths, but so they're all level and equal sides, so that it'll all fit together well. And glued them together, as well as glued them inside where the old coal load used to be, and then painted over it so that you really can't even see any of the seams, and it looks pretty great, in my personal opinion. You know, and with building these, well, this isn't an auxiliary tender, but with building auxiliary tenders, I absolutely love it. It's a couple day job, but it takes like a couple weeks to a couple months just for me to find material. But that's because when it's my tender, I go on my schedule. When it's someone else's tender, I try to find it and do it fast as I can. But I've been putting off doing the bunker to number three's tender, auxiliary tender, for a long while. Finally, was able to find material to use it, but after I ran out of material using the for the JS Miner's new oil bunker, I also ran out of free stuff after using for 6789's tender. And so that's what really put off building the bunker for 3's tender, and also 723A, which is going to be going to JM Colts 95 or John Miner when it's done to run behind his Bachmann Spectrum 210-2 number 723. Anyways, so it took till today until I found this old Athearn caboose frame, and the trucks and the wheels are already being used on something else. The screws were on something else. The coupler pockets were all broken, so it couldn't have been used. I took it apart to rebuild it, but I started using the parts on everything else, so I knew that would never be happening. So I pick up the frame and I go, I think this can actually fit into 3's bunker, or 3's hole. So I cut off the end step beams where you have the steps, cut that entire portion off, and on both sides. Then there's a spot where the toolbox was, and I grinded that down with a bench grinder. Then that gave you a little hole, so I had to cut the two areas outside of that hole, so that gave me two portions. Then I sanded them, or I used a file actually to make them level and equal, so that they could come together quite nicely, and so that they'd fit perfectly into 3's form coal load. And personally, this is probably one of my favorite ones because it looks so great. I just glued together the two portions. Once it dried in about a couple minutes, put glue on the side portions and into the bunker, and presto, it was done. Just trying to show you it, but it looks pretty great to me, and it won't be really needing anything else, because on 6789's tender I had to paint the top of it for seams, and I might someday for the top of number 3, but for now it's fine. But wouldn't you agree this looks like an auxiliary tender? Also painted the trucks and cleaned the wheels, added a knuckle coupler, and where you'd find the drawbar and the lead motor wire to a Montour 462 or 282, the wire would be screwed down to the bottom of the tender frame, and that's how you pick up electrical conductivity. So being it wasn't going to hold a drawbar anymore, it was going to hold a coupler, I needed the coupler height to be, I needed good coupler height so I'd be able to run with number 3 and be the same level as the back coupler, which is perfect. So I took a file and shortened the screw hole so that the coupler would be level, the coupler height would be good. And that's what I have to do on all these tenders. It's a simple job, only takes a couple minutes, but it's really worth it to have knuckle on both sides and everything play out perfectly. I mean, this is definitely one of my favorite tenders of all, because the 3-axle, triple axle, and white paint to match number 3's white boiler, and so on, you know. So I'm just kind of adjusting how I want it to sit inside. There you go. But yeah, I make these for people. You can order one, but then I have to go to work and make it. It really won't take a whole long time. The most it's going to take is a month. Shortest amount of time it's going to take is probably 2 to 3 weeks, because it takes a good week to remove the coal load in the bunker. Well, removing the coal load in the coal bunker completely only takes a couple minutes, but then you have to prime the shell, paint the shell, and I only have the colors black and white, or brown, so you can't tell me to make my own custom ones, because I just don't, I'm not a paint shop. But yeah, I have black, white, and brown. So you have to prime the shell. I let it sit for a couple hours, sometimes even a day. and blast a new coat on it, let that dry for a couple hours. Then I paint the trucks. That'll take, between all the painting and whatnot, it takes a good day for all that to dry. Then I come back the next day and I do the work on the coupler height, and then I start looking around for materials. So it's a lot of work invested, but I really love doing these, and got a couple examples I can show you I've done before. This is a present one I'm working on for John Miner, Game Quilts 95. Like I said, it's going to be behind his 723. That's why we have it lettered 723A. But it's an old Tyco Chattanooga one, and it's completely removed, primed and painted the shell. The frame on these is the 2-axle one, and personally I like the 3-axle one a lot better, but it still works. I put in old Athearn wheels to it. I've been doing a lot of coupler pocket rebuild work. This is an old Power Torque tender, so I left the Power Torque weight or truck mount in to keep his weight to support it all, and basically just keep it level in weight. So almost done on the coupler pocket repairs. Then I'm gonna put the shell back on, test it, then look around for materials to build the cover for it, and then it'll be done within a good week and a half, 2 weeks, if I can find materials in the time. Just working a lot of auxiliary tenders just because it's fun. Alright, moving away from the auxiliary tenders. Well, if you have any questions, just comment, message me, I don't care. Go to the website, you can see pictures of the progress there. But also, today was the official last run of my Montour 040 booster, Southern Pacific number 33. It's an SCVR engine, and it's moving to the Seybold Locomotive Works for full ownership, because my SCVR has 4 saddle tank locomotives, which 3 of them are 060s, and 1 of them is an 040, and 33 has been the second best out of all those because of its dependability and its smoothness and smooth performance. Sorry to live by the street if you can hear the sirens. Anyways, but 33 just wasn't getting the use anymore, and in recent times I've been having to do Seybold Locomotive Works shunting to give my EMD40 John Deere Critter number 4 a break, because I've been using it constantly. So I've been using her for the Seybold Locomotive Works stuff for a while, and I tried twice on eBay to win a Montour 04 booster as a shop goat, steam shop goat for the Seybold Locomotive Works, but I lost both of them at the last second. So, you know, and 33 was staring me right in the face because it was just sitting outside the turntable and really not even getting any use anymore. So I just figured today that she was going to be Seybold Locomotive Works, because you know, we need an engine to power our caboose trains, because we can't have my 442 number 605 running them, because she's a big old engine that has her own special 5-coach train to be pulling at high speeds, and should not be running slow caboose trains. That's 33 will fit a pretty good candidate for that and fill a good space. So now she's officially Seybold Locomotive Works. Eventually she will get repainted, because the lettering is kind of wearing, and plus I want it to be like a Seybold Locomotive Works engine, and not only paint the lettering as well and whatnot. She'll still be 33 to keep the memory of her SCVR beginnings and whatnot. But yeah, I just had her a couple hours ago, ran her last official train, 5-coach excursion. 4 of them were Southern Pacific coaches, and the baggage was a Burlington baggage, because she's got knuckle couplers and the SP coaches have horn hook couplers. And what my brother and I do with cabooses, freight cars, engines, passenger cars is have one coupler be a horn hook and the other coupler be a knuckle. So you can mix knuckle and horn hook trains. So that's why that's there. If not, I would just use my SP baggage, which is a horn hook, but sometimes you have trouble on radiuses with the derailing and whatnot. But now she's Seybold Locomotive Works and will be a steam shop goat, be running our caboose trains, which we have like every other month. They run at the same time of 605 excursions. I'll have to make a schedule online for those if you want to see, and you can go here for the video updates and whatnot. But yeah, that is what I'm working on this weekend. Just basically just auxiliary tenders and 33 and your all Seybold locomotive work situated and whatnot. But yeah, if you have any questions on anything you saw here, anything you heard me say, feel free to comment and whatnot and just ask me. We can work out deals if you want to buy. I have to start getting another supply of Montour tenders in so I can start making auxiliary tenders for people, because right now I don't have any that I can sell. But we can work out that deal separately. But let me know what you guys think. All the work this week, and I'll try to keep putting video updates as often as I can. Yeah, but I am Hyde from the Seybold Locomotive Works, and hope you guys enjoyed following program. Thank you guys.